Hi, I'm Nicolas Lopez, and this is ZayZay.com.
Next. This place is awesome. It's like the indie station of Latin America. That's the real Chile.
¿Qué pasa? ¿Cómo está mi gente? Yo soy tu amigo Zay Zay. Welcome to it. Today I am hanging out with a wonderful director. Okay,
Not really.
His new movie is called Aftershock, and all I can say is you got to see this movie. I'm hanging out with Nicolas Lopez.
Sir, pleasure.
Good. Oh man, I think the first question I'm going to ask you is, when I first started watching this movie, I wasn't even imagining where we were going to end up. I couldn't even fathom that you would take us there. Was that on purpose? Or was that like a happy accident?
No, that was on purpose. My idea was always to mix genres. So the movie starts like a comedy, and suddenly it turns into a horror movie. And I love that because the movie talks about, you know, how life is so random, the randomness of life, that suddenly you're having fun, we're doing this interview, and suddenly there is an earthquake, and I hope that, you know, or a tsunami, you know, like especially Miami will be a tsunami.
Right.
But that's the thing, you know, that you never know what will happen with your life, and that suddenly you're having fun. And the thing that I love is that, and that also happens in the movie, is that you're worried about things that they are so little, you know, and those little things seem to be like really big things in your life, and suddenly there is something like a huge catastrophe, like the earthquake, and then your whole point of view of how life works changed immediately.
Do you know it? It was crazy. Like I don't even know how to like I don't know how to put it without giving it away, which we don't want to do.
Basically, there is an earthquake in the movie, so I don't think that we're
exactly. There's an earthquake, but it starts off, and I'm thinking it's gonna be Project X.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it started with people partying and having fun. And suddenly everything changed, and you have this huge earthquake. But I love that. I love the energy of the movie. I love that you start laughing, you know, and having a good time. And I'm used to make comedies. Like most of the movies that I have done before, they are comedies, like very weird comedies, but comedies at the end of the day. And I did a trilogy of romantic comedies that were called Que Pena Tu Vida, Que Pena Tu Boda, and Que Pena Tu Familia. That the literal translation, well, not the literal translation, but here they call them like F my life, F my wedding, F my family. And here with Eli, we were trying to do a movie that had a mix of our both sensibilities. So we ended up calling this movie F My Hostel, you know, because it starts like one of my romantic comedies, and then suddenly it turns into an Eli Roth film.
Right.
And I love that. I love that energy.
How did that ese junte, you and Eli Roth, how did that come to be?
We always talk about doing something together, not sex, you know, about doing a movie together.
Sure, of course.
And suddenly, right after the last exorcism, that was a huge hit, Eli had the power of getting the money to make any movie that he wanted to do. And we started talking about doing something together, and suddenly had this idea about doing a movie based on the earthquake that actually happened in Chile in 2010. And we were like, whoa, that's really interesting, because nobody has done a disaster movie in a while, and especially a more grounded version of a disaster movie.
Sure.
All the disaster movies, they're always about, you know, like Cloverfield or the monster, or about, you know, something that's not gonna happen. So I was like, why we don't go back to what was cool in the 70s, you know, and let's do something like the Poseidon or the real earthquake, you know, those movies from the 70s. And that was also we had the idea of doing most of the effects practical, and that's something that it's really different. When you watch the film, you can notice that what's happening is happening for real.
For real? Did you destroy a city?
We destroyed many parts for real. We were shooting with 5 cameras all the time. The huge sequence that happens at the club where we destroy everything, that was one shot. Because you only have one shot of destroying everything. You can't be like, okay, we're gonna clean this and, you know, start and shoot in 8 hours from now.
That's true.
And also what I wanted to show was how scary it was. Like suddenly there is this generation and that's my generation, that we're so attached to our cell phones. We have all our lives there. And suddenly, without your cell phone, basically you're dead. Like when the earthquake happened, I tried to call my mom and I realized that I didn't know my mom's number. Because it was on my cell phone and my cell phone died.
Right.
And the only phones that were working were the landline phones. So I talked with my girlfriend and she was in Valparaiso and it was like 4 a.m. in the morning. So when I talked to her, she was like, I'm okay, but I'm running. Like, why are you running? She's like, no, because they say that there's a tsunami.
Wow.
So it was like, this is so hardcore. And I was like, I would love to transfer that to a movie, And that what happened when you're a director, like really bad things happen in your life and you're like, this will make a really good plot point.
My God.
So yeah, that happens and I was like, this is really interesting and we should do a movie where people can feel that terror because it's real terror.
True.
And like the tagline of the movie is that the only thing more terrifying than Mother Nature is human nature. And that what happened for real. Like after the earthquake, all the aftermath was, people looting, like people escaping, prisoners escaping and all of that. So basically, I was like, we have to use all this and put it in the movie.
Gotta put it in the movie.
Yeah.
Do me a favor.
Yes.
Look into the camera.
Of course.
And in 30 seconds, sell me this movie. Why do I need to go see Aftershock?
You need to see Aftershock because you're gonna have a great time. It's gonna be one of the most horrific experience ever. Like forget Evil Dead. Like Aftershock is the real deal. It's real terror. We're not talking about a monster that doesn't exist. We're talking about a real earthquake. And it's all based on true events. So go see Aftershock on May 10 everywhere and on demand.